Buenos días, hermanitos. Cuando hay noticias en la televisión, eh, experiencias que recibimos, siempre nos alegramos mucho, ya que siempre esto da alabanza a Jehová. Y se hizo una entrevista en inglés que está traducida en español para que la puedan entonces disfrutar. Traté de bajarlo directamente, pero no se puede. Entonces lo estoy haciendo a través del medio que estamos usando nuevamente, que es el Zoom. Y entonces yo quisiera compartir el video con todos ustedes. Déjenme buscarlo por aquí y entonces se lo voy a poner para que lo puedan ver. Y así comienza la entrevista. Esto salió ayer. Espero que les guste.
Is Rocky Nash with 8 News Now, your live producer on the digital team. And today we published a story actually the beginning of the month of November, marking the start of a global campaign by Jehovah's Witnesses to distribute a special edition of a magazine, What is God's Kingdom? And here we have with us the U.S. representative or spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses on this Zoom interview, Mr. Robert Hendricks. Thank you for joining us virtually today.
Well, thank you, Rocky. We really appreciate being on.
Well, now that the campaign is nearing its final days, Mr. Hendricks, we wanted to know why the religious organization of Jehovah's Witnesses launched a global campaign during a pandemic in the heart of the election season. Why now? Why was this the perfect time?
You know, government is on the minds of people. Government has been entrusted with solving many of the problems that we face, including this global pandemic. Unfortunately, it's left to them to solve it, and many of the problems that we're facing, frankly, are insoluble. They're beyond the capacity of government to handle, and even though many are doing their best, many have great motives, at the end of the day, they're not going to solve the problem, but God's kingdom can. And God's kingdom is a real government under Christ Jesus that will take over leadership, that will take over rulership of this earth. And while we think about this country, we're in the throes of still a campaign and election that has been very controversial. But all around the world, government, good leadership, good government is a topic and a fascination of people. They need a hope. And really, what we're trying to help people to understand is the greatest hope, the only hope for solving the problems that we face, the only government that can do it, is God's kingdom under Christ Jesus. That's our message.
And many are familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses preaching from door to door, but amid this coronavirus pandemic, those activities have been suspended. We did a story earlier in the middle of the year, actually, regarding the suspension also or cancellation of your conventions globally. How have you further adapted to this pandemic to make sure that you can still reach people with your message?
You know, when this campaign was first planned, there was no pandemic, and we were planning on visiting business officials, our local business leaders in our neighborhoods from our congregations. We were planning on visiting as many government officials as we could right in their offices, especially our town and city and village government officials and school district officials. But that wasn't to be. We suspended our public ministry in March. We suspended all public meetings, and we haven't got back to that because of loving our neighbor and also the sanctity of life, making sure that we're not carrying the disease or getting the disease. So we can do this virtually, and we have. And we have a vast network around the world. Here in the United States, we have 13,000 congregations. 13,000 congregations, and that each of them are representing a certain territory, if you will, or area of the United States. And they are making sure that every government official and every business that has a home base in their territory receives the information and receives this special magazine and a personal message to go along with it. For us here at the branch in Wallkill, our U.S. headquarters, what we have done is we've collected a tremendous amount of information on the officials that we're looking to contact. And we're personalizing each letter, whether it's regarding their family or their work, and we're thanking them for the work that they're doing. And that has proved to be very successful in sending out a letter that just isn't a form letter with a signature, but sending out a letter that is actually for an individual, one of our governmental leaders, and really acknowledging the work that they're doing. So we're hoping that that will go a long way in bringing attention to the message inside the envelope, which is the message on about God's kingdom.
And thank you. I'm sure a lot went into creating this campaign, and as many shift to an online or digital method of delivery of information, many are interested in this topic. Did you face any challenges, or how were you able to access, to get phone information to reach people in the community or their addresses to deliver this magazine to them? How can you give us a behind the scenes look and the work that went into that?
Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are uniquely equipped as an organization in this world. We really are the envy of any corporation, because we have, here in the United States, we have 1.3 million people on the ground who are really searching for that information. They are in neighborhoods, they're on the internet, they have local access to local resources. And so that's what they've done, and that's what we've done. We've tried to make sure that we have that good information, that good research, and we started that process before November so that we were ready to begin sending and personalizing these letters and these emails. The other thing that makes us unique is that we're global, 240 lands. Our information on our website is available in well over 1,000 languages. And this magazine is printed in more than 350 languages, something like 369 languages, 60 to 80 million copies. We don't know yet because there have been reprints. It may go up to 100 million copies. There's no magazine in the world that has that circulation. And there's no magazine that even comes close to its translation. So we, as an organization, have the feet on the ground, the boots on the ground, if you will. We have the ear to the grindstone, if you will, making sure we know the information, and we have uniquely equipped with the resources to be able to reach everyone in their mother tongue. So it's a pretty amazing, daunting task, but we're uniquely equipped to handle it.
That definitely is an amazing feat to distribute the information at the same time in many languages. Are there any experiences that you can share with us? I know that this is a global campaign. Do you have any experiences either here in the U.S. or abroad that you can share with us?
Yesterday we were together with branches from around the world, and there were a number of powerful experiences. One from Samoa, which is an island in the Pacific where some level of public ministry can still happen, or personal meetings can still happen, having tremendous effect on government officials there. Of all places, Bangladesh, which prides itself on being more of an egalitarian government when it comes to religion, and they just thanked us and commended us for the work that we're doing, and the fact in both cases and many more, the fact that we're bringing attention to a government that is the true government, the real government that can really bring an end to the problems that we face and solve them once and for all. Here in the United States, it's interesting that the predominant response has been, hey, thanks. Because what we're doing in our letters, we're personally thanking them for the work that they do. So there's a fire chief not too far from where you are who contacted us recently and just said, hey, thanks so much for just thanking us, for thanking me for the work that I do. It's so rare. And that's the general response we're getting from people is thank you for reaching out, doing this as a public service, and thank you very much for appreciating what we do.
Thank you. So with people, like you said, experiencing global pandemic, food shortages, earthquakes, civil unrest, all at the same time, who may be losing hope, is there a message you can share with them? How is God's kingdom of comfort a solution to people's problems?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's really the key question, isn't it? Because people, I've lived all my life watching as well-meaning governmental officials, well-meaning leaders, well-meaning organizations try to find cures to cancer and sickness and even death. And really, for thousands of years, man's governments have not been able to solve those problems for even one of their citizens. In the case of God's kingdom, it's going to be a complete difference. What we saw with Jesus on the earth as the king, he's the king of the kingdom. He has three qualities that none of us possess. He's got the power. He demonstrated that by raising people, feeding people, and raising them from the dead, also healing their sicknesses. He's got the desire. He felt pity for people. He was moved to do it, and he's got the wisdom on how to handle each of these problems that we're facing and solve them. And so he demonstrated that as a human here on the earth. Imagine as a mighty spirit king what he can do as the king of God's kingdom. That's the only true hope for mankind.
And finally, a message of hope. What do you have to say to viewers who perhaps have not received that phone call yet or received the magazine in the mail? Where can they go for more information?
Well, really, the place to go is jw.org. There are so many resources on there. Right at the top, when you go there right now, you'll find a link to this magazine. And it will be in your language. There's no doubt about it. It'll be in your language. So you just click on it, and it also will show you the topics that are there. What is God's kingdom? Defining it. Why do we believe that it's coming soon? The various aspects that are showing us that we're almost there. And what will it do for you personally? And they can also find comfort by just typing in comfort on jw.org. Comfort, and they'll find probably scores of articles on comfort, and that will also assist them in finding comfort in a world that's really challenging right now. And we feel for our neighbors. We're going through it with them, and we're hoping that they find comfort in the message that we're giving.
Well, thank you again for joining us today, Mr. Hendricks, and sharing how Jehovah's Witnesses are doing their part to share hope, a message of comfort as we are fast approaching 2021. For the full interview, definitely go to our website at 8newsnow.com. And for more information on the global campaign initiated by Jehovah's Witnesses for the month of November to distribute the magazine, What is God's Kingdom? Go to jw.org. Thank you.
Bueno, hermano, qué bonita, ¿verdad? La entrevista que se hizo. Como dijeron ahí, no nos cansemos de seguir predicando de la manera que lo estamos haciendo, no importa cómo lo hagamos, pero tenemos que seguir esta obra, porque como dice el texto que dice atrás, en Sofonías 1:14, el gran día de Jehová está cerca, y queremos ver ese reino ya establecido aquí en la tierra. Sigamos entonces adelante y esperemos que hayan disfrutado del video. Gracias.